Have you thought about the way you understand or speak English for once? Be honest with yourself and answer the following question truthfully. Do you have to translate anything you hear or say in your head instead of processing it in English? Start immediately. It's not effective for you. That's not the way babies learn to understand speech and speak themselves. Have the thought about starting to think in English and over close to your mind. Probably there were a couple of times and when you hear English thoughts in your head, but when back to your native language. This video will explain why thinking in English is life-changing and give you the step-by-step plan to start thinking in English. Every time a bilingual person wants to speak one of their languages, the language switching happens in their head unconsciously. Then finally they recognize the language and start using it. But that still requires a lot of control, and otherwise bilinguals can start mixing language. For example, saying something like it's me, casa, not yours, instead of it's my house, not yours. If you want to learn more on this topic and read the article How Do Bilinguals Switch About Between Language in Different International International Context, a comparison between voluntary and mandatory language switching and published online by Cambridge University Press. You know that language switching is, but how is it connected with thinking in English? To start thinking in English, you must switch the language in your head. And we are not talking about translating your native language into English in your head here. And instead, pretend that English with limited vocabulary and grammar is all you have and start working with that. And we will give you a recommendation on how to do and that in a minute. How thinking in English can help in learning the language. Most likely, at your current level, you tend to translate lots of English speech in your head. Thinking in English leads to more fluency in speaking, writing, and understanding the language. If you want to reach a level of a native speaker of English, now you must start thinking in English. You will finally be able to feel the language and use it as the native do. And ask a average native English speakers about grammar rules or pronunciation is funny, but they have no idea about many things and regarding their native language. Now, the reason is that they internalize it since birth. In addition, thinking in English is an excellent way to practice the language where there is no one to talk to. How to think in English in 7 easy steps. Now, let's start. If you assume that thinking in English will come naturally, we have bad and good news for you. The thing is that after years of learning English, thinking in it will come naturally. Eventually, your brain will adapt to the language step by step, and you will stop translating everything, but you will probably separately search for words and grammar in your head. But you can't call in such a way of achieving your goal and effortless, right? So it turns out that you have to work hard to start thinking in English either way. So why won't you do it intentionally? We have some recommendation for you on to think in English. Just follow our easy peasy lemon quiz steps. Step number 1. Start with one word. It is much better to begin thinking in English from the beginning of your learning journey. It might seem like you don't know enough words for that, but that's not true. As fast thinking in English start from single words. Adults can find memorizing new words in English challenging because they are trying to keep up with translation into their native language. When babies explore the world and hear the language, they don't have anything to really on except the sense organs. There is no way to translate when you learn your first language ever and use that principle to start thinking in English, but an association of everything that surrounds you, English equivalent instead of translating it. The best way to do it is by using flashcards with images instead of translation and learning from real life surroundings, objects and phenomena and accents. You can find flashcards in English learning apps. But that is only a beginning because you must implement the single words in your everyday routine. First thing in the morning when you wake up and think that it's morning, and then go to the bathroom and look at the object and name them in your head. Number two, proceed with easy sentence. As soon as you success with thinking in English in single words, move forward to easy sentence. You can practice with easy sentence wherever you are at home, at work, on a bus, in a restaurant. Start with simple grammar and tense. Just don't forget to do it. We suggest you start with confidence and boosting affirmation in front of the mirror. In such way, you can steal two birds with one stone. First look at your reflection and think, I'm beautiful, I am divine, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm love. And then you can move to notice something about other people. Don't be judgmental. See good things. For example, Trevor looks good in a black jacket, or Nancy has a nice garden. Step number three, talk to yourself. In general, talking to yourself is a normal thing for a human being. Previously, you were practicing thinking in English in a single words and easy sentence. Now, you should try to help. No one can judge you for your mistake, long pauses, or lack of words here. Your inner voice is a safe place for you to think in English. Let's see some examples of when and where talking in English to yourself can be helpful. For instance, you go grocery shopping and have a list of what you need to buy. Say to yourself a short monologue like this, okay, I need to buy groceries for the whole week. And let's see what on my list. Step number 4, make up imaginary scenario in your head. When you create imaginary scenario in your head, you try to predict and what will happen so you can be prepared to talk about the same stuff in English. So it helps to look for new words, phrases and construction in your thinking which eventually will be displayed in speaking in real life. Isn't it someone? Step number 5. Keep a diary or a planner. Why won't you try to do the same? Or if you already keep a diary or a planner? It's most easy to improve the skill of thinking in English by putting your thoughts on paper. So, for example, plan your day with bullet points and your day by writing how you felt today in a diary in English. Step number 6, learn English with English. Perhaps it's the best rule for every English learner, especially advanced, when you already have a rich vocabulary and basic grammar knowledge, and translation is unnecessary. It is more confusing for your brain to memorize new information and learn something in English. So stick to English dictionaries. Number 7. Text in English. The rule sounds like that. When you text someone, you think and talk to yourself your head. It makes texting a perfect step to start thinking in English. Ask one of your friends to text at least one social media and you will benefit. Of course, it shouldn't necessarily be long charts.